Welcome to the Dead Pixel Society podcast, the photo imaging industry's leading news source. Here's your host, Gary Pageau. The Dead Pixel Society podcast is brought to you by Media Clip, Advertech Printing, and IP Labs.
Hello again, and welcome to the Dead Pixel Society podcast. I'm your host, Gary Pageau, and today we're joined by Lindsay Duprey, the COO of WCD in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And she's here today to talk to us about a new brand they've launched called Curavate. Hi, Lindsay. How are you today?
I'm great. Hi, Gary. Thanks so much for having me today. I'm really excited to spend this time with you.
So for the people who don't know who WCD is, it's a longstanding company in the imaging industry, was a film lab and a digital lab and now a full-blown printer. Can you kind of sketch out that whole evolution of the company?
Sure, I'd love to. So let me go back. So West Canadian Digital Imaging, now WCD, was founded in 1952. So it's a family-run, privately held enterprise that's been in the same ownership structure for over 30 years now. Actually, I think 38, maybe almost 39. I think you described it, sort of the inception of the business really started as a reprographics company focused on architectural and engineering. And the business has evolved significantly in terms of providing print solutions, information management solutions like scanning, as well as office services or what we call managed services. We're a very, very entrepreneurial business. I'm very proud to be a part of the company. We have amazing customers. We have incredible people on our team. But I would say kind of historically, we've been a regional Alberta-based headquartered business. And we've actually over time, I think, grown our services in partnerships with our customers. So it was sort of like looking out to the market to see what our customers needed and often kind of co-creating to respond to their needs.
I mean, it used to be like a color lab, if that's what we used to call them, to, doing film, I think, for the professional market, and then kind of went digital. So you were digital back in the 50s. I mean, you've been a digital a long time, but I don't think anyone was digital back in the 50s. Anyway, so, customer focus. You always hear about companies who, say they're that. What are some examples of the things you've done that the customers have suggested WCD take on and do, for example, just as an example, one or two things?
Yeah, well, so first of all, let me maybe just touch on what you said about being, digitally focused. So, and then I'll speak to our customers. So we've actually never been an offset printer. We've always been digitally led from the time that there was such a thing. Right. And I think that was somewhat, a business decision. And I think, part of who we are, because we wanted to be agile. And I think, kind of all along, we wanted to be able to provide sort of more customization or personalization for our customers. And so I kind of think back in the history of the company and things that we've done. Like if you take, for example, our on-demand print business and personalization, I mean, we got into that with customers because they said, we want to do things differently. We want to have a different brand story that we take to market. Can you help us with that? And so, that sort of became also the inception of, having creative services in the organization. Almost like a little, I would say quasi agency internal to WCD, so we could really co-create with our clients. Another example of this is our managed services business. Our customers came to us and said, we want you to help us manage our, non-core print services on site. And so we really developed a model in Alberta where we could build, kind of these on-site print centers that then could access our broader operation to give our customers scale.
Sure.
And these are really, I think, examples of, where our customers have said, hey, we have an idea or we have a business need. Could we grow this together?
So managed service is kind of interesting because that's something where, and correct me if I'm explaining this incorrectly, is somebody has a fleet of printers in their facility or an output service in their facility. And rather than having a tech or something from Xerox come in, you guys provide that service. Is that correct?
I think that's a small part of it. I
Okay.
think kind of this traditional concept of fleet management. I actually would say it's more like centralized print management, where
Okay.
we bring in a turnkey capability that is partly being administered through the press, through the multifunction device, press or other. But it's really about, I think, connecting the people on site, connecting through process, connecting through technology,
Sure.
and giving our customers an access point to those services. So we're not like you mentioned Xerox, for example. Our business model has not been let's go and put sort of sizable fleet across every enterprise. It's a little bit more niche. It's a little bit more custom, and I think more aligned to giving our customers some capabilities on site, but really I think tapping into the expertise that we have in our operations.
And the best thing about that is you learn more about what your customers are doing, and you maybe come up with new products and services for that.
Absolutely. No question.
But a new thing you're doing, see how that segue works, is not along those lines, but something completely different, where you've come up with a consumer brand for the marketplace. And that's really what I want to talk about today, is your new brand called Curavate, which people can go to curavate.com. And this is a website run by WCD. It's a WCD enterprise, but it's not really branded as such. It's a separate thing. Tell me about this. How did this come about that you saw an opportunity in the marketplace to do your own thing?
Sure. Well, so let me kind of take you back to maybe 2019. So, and then the
golden years before COVID,
the golden years before that time that, we're tired of talking about. So, I would say in 2019, we started to kind of envision a bit more of an expansive strategy in the company. And I think this really started when our CEO, Karen Brookman, joined the organization. So a family-run business. And I sort of followed shortly thereafter, and we'd worked together previously in another company. But we really started to look at the business and kind of all the elements around our creative services capability, our production capability, our technology capability. We started to pay attention to what was going on in the market, and in particular, I think the rise of e-commerce and the rise of kind of more platforms, right? And customers wanting to have solutions that were more integrated, to be able to buy when they wanted to buy, where they wanted to buy.
Sure.
And we really started to pivot our business strategy and get more and more focused on this concept of on-demand personalized print. And, funny enough, we'd been in that business for about a decade in terms of fulfilling for e-commerce customers, but it was never really, the focal point of our business strategy. It was a great capability. And so, as we navigated, 2019 and into, 2020, we really started to see that there was an opportunity that, I think we were kind of poised to be a part of. And it actually started really in 2021 when we rebranded the company. So kind of going from this like really, really proud, Canadian Calgary headquartered business, which we still are, to really thinking about how we could become more of a national and global provider. And so as we started to, get more connected to that, I think for me personally, by the way, I don't have a background in print.
So what is your background? You said you came from a company before with
So just kind of quickly, my background is really in the legal industry.
Okay.
And with a specific focus on technology and cloud-based solutions and legal. But I've had the opportunity to work in large companies, startups, entrepreneurial businesses, and kind of everything from sales to marketing to operations to technology, and you name it. And when I joined WCD in late 2018, I knew nothing about print. Like,
Mhm.
and I can tell you, thank goodness we've got such an incredible team of people, because I was like, what's this substrate that you're talking about? What's this, like, 4 up, 4 down? Like, what are you really talking about? And everybody was very kind, and it didn't roll their eyes at me too often.
Not to your face, at least.
Not to my face, not to my face. And I think I saw all of the ingredients and kind of this similarity between what I was doing before and connecting people and process and technology and kind of building this, these really integrated solutions. And I was able to learn the industry quickly enough, I think, to get into action.
Sure.
And so as I mentioned, today I'm the COO, and so I'm responsible for day-to-day operations and a pretty diverse portfolio in the business. But I'm also, I think, kind of naturally wired to think about what's next, and what's the business strategy, and how do we grow this business through great partnerships and great customer relationships, etc. So as we started to pivot the business, and we did this rebrand in 2021, and it was a bit of a meandering road, because we thought, we're right in the middle of a pandemic. Should we really do a rebrand? Like, are we nuts? And we sort of felt like the time was right, because we needed something new, to talk about, to get behind, to feel inspired, like as we were, navigating the time that everybody was navigating. And so, of course, we started to get more connected to, on-demand, personalized print fulfillment. And so, in the context of Curavate, what's interesting about this is this was kind of in the making for about 18 months. And so the way that I like to think about it is, it's kind of like this internal startup,
sure,
backed by WCD. I mean, we're very, very fortunate, I think, in our business, is that because it's very entrepreneurial, we're really focused on innovation. And I think it kind of felt like we wanted to do something that was creative.
Sure.
And kind of step out a bit, have some fun, some new energy. And the funny thing is that we've mostly been known, so WCD proper has mostly been known as a business to business or business to business.
Sure, exactly. I mean, that's sort of your thing.
That's who we are.
Is your customers serve other people, basically.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is we had, like, so why Curavate? Why?
Yeah, so it's going to pivot into that. It's like, okay, you've got the capability, you kind of want to try something new. Did you test fire this with some of your customers to say, how do you feel about us?
We did.
Competing with your customers?
We did. Well,
what was that conversation like?
Actually, so it was great. So I think most of our e-commerce fulfillment partners know that we've built digital storefronts for many of our B2B customers. We actually have had our own little digital storefront on the WCD site called Web Connect. I think we were very, very mindful, I think, in sharing that with our customers and our partners. And we actually got some really, really good feedback early on. And so this is why it was kind of like 18 months of thinking in the make. It didn't take us, necessarily 18 months to build a e-commerce front end, but just in the making of, is it the right time? Why now?
Right.
And I think what's interesting is, we have many like businesses and consumers that come into WCD, and they often ask us, I'd really love a canvas made. I'd really love a frame poster. I'd really love some decor. But we never really had a mechanism that would allow them to create something.
Because you were making this stuff, but you couldn't just walk in the plant and say, I need to make a canvas. There was no ordering mechanism, or probably a cart or anything like that.
Exactly. So it was very very manual. Okay, well, we'll do that, and it will run through, pre-press, or we'll do it this way. And we just started to see this opportunity. And WCD, we've worked closely with different artists in our community, and oftentimes tapping into artists that are local to where we are, and utilizing that content for our own sort of personalized gifts for customers. And we just really felt like this was not only an opportunity for us to make it easier for our customers to access these services, but I think more broadly an opportunity for us to kind of leverage that untapped potential, and to bring a new brand and something exciting, not just in our little community, but more broadly.
So what markets do you service? I mean, are you, can you ship to the US or any of that kind of stuff?
Sure. Yeah. So right now our primary focus is the Canadian market.
Sure.
It's interesting because we are starting to see some interest from the US.
Sure.
Partially through our network of folks that we're connected to. So, Canadian-based Curavate, and I would say sort of, phase one is really North America.
Sure.
We want to stay committed to sustainable printing and, as best as we can, produce as closely as possible to our customers.
Sure.
So that's a focus for us as well, is really thinking about the manufacturing and thinking about, as we start to expand into the US, getting more sort of in-country manufacturing closer to customers.
Sure.
But kind of, sky's the limit, right? We didn't want to be confined by necessarily Canada as a geography.
Sure.
But we also saw an opportunity, I think, to bring something unique to the Canadian market.
Because it's curavate.com, not curavate.ca.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
See, I noticed these things. So let's talk a little bit about the product selection, because primarily if you go to the website, which I highly encourage everyone to do, and there's a 45% off site-wide coupon, Cyber45 right now. So you're primarily focusing on canvas, acrylic prints, metallic prints, and premium posters. But you guys make more than that. How did you choose those product categories?
Sure. Well, I think we wanted to start more on the wall decor side, and you may have noticed we have some adjacent products, like there's some drinkware and notebooks, and just to kind of provide a little bit of variety. But we really wanted to start in wall decor because, again, I felt like there was a market opportunity. We had some capacity and sort of untapped capability there. But we see this kind of interesting synergy, again, with artists, and we're getting some early on interest from artists that are saying like, oh, I'd really, love to have my creations, captured in your platform. And so we see that as a great opportunity to create a platform for artists. And then we also thought, kind of in combination with our creative services, that we really wanted to kind of leverage those capabilities to start to also create our own content. The nice thing about wall decor is it also lends itself nicely to a consumer, but it also lends itself nicely to more of a B2B environment. So again, we have, commercial or corporate customers that are saying, hey, we're redecorating our office, and, we'd love to have, all new canvas or all new metallic in our office. And so we thought it was a great kind of entry point portfolio that would allow us to kind of stay true to WCD, but also access some new markets and new customers.
Because those wouldn't necessarily be commercial accounts on the WCD side, because you're not talking probably, large runs or, huge expenses, right? I mean, if you're redoing, 3 or 4 acrylics in a restaurant, it's pricey, but it's not really in my observation, a WCD level experience. I could be wrong on that, but I'm just saying it seems to me like it makes more sense to ship that person towards, Curavate and let them do it themselves. Now, would you do installation or something like that? Would this be something?
Well, so interestingly, we do have, as part of our WCD portfolio, we do have a signage operation. And so we do a lot of install for our customers. So I think, if it's part of a broader corporate project where we're maybe doing a rebranding and something more substantial, sure. I think we could add that service. I mean, it's really designed. I think the products in Curavate are designed in a way that they're easy to install.
Right.
You know, they're easy to install products. And we've been looking at things like, you know, templating and, you know, like if you're like me, I can't, you know, hang anything to save my life. And so, you know, we've really thought about the templating and how to make this as turnkey as possible. So our customers can, you know, receive their beautiful creations and then, you know, make sure that they're hung properly. So yeah, it's been fun. I mean, we're just getting started.
Right. I said it just, as far as I can tell, it just launched, but I was kind of excited when I heard about it to have you on just going to talk about the launch process. So let's talk about that. Are you doing any media? Are you doing any social? Are you doing some goofy Instagram reels? Or, you know, I'd love to see Lindsay doing some of that stuff. Or so what, you know, what's kind of your go-to market for this?
I was going to say, do you think I'm like, I should be on TikTok?
No. I'm just joking. I don't know if you have a face or a persona. I mean, I'm trying to get into like what your marketing approach will be. Because certainly you've seen some of the brands, you work with some of the brands, they sort of have a persona they project. And from what I can see from your website, it's kind of playful, it's kind of fun. Your typeface is kind of, you know, whimsical, if that's the word. Hopefully I'm correct on that. You know, so is that going to carry through on some of the marketing?
Yeah, I think it will. So I'll just speak to our process. So we went through a pretty kind of extensive process around getting clear on, you know, certainly the product mix as we talked about, you know, going through a process around, should this be a WCD brand? Should it be a separate brand? And coming up with this concept of Curavate. So really this fusion of curating something and innovation, you know, kind of bringing the two together. We went through a process around creating, you know, just sort of the brand story. We worked with an external consultant around all of our messaging strategy. We workshopped it, we debated it. So we now really have I think an early on full brand and messaging strategy. You know, even the process of coming up with the name was really fun. And then up with the brand and going through various iterations of what that should look like. And you know, I think first of all, thank you for picking up on the fact that it's meant to be sort of whimsical and fun, because this is what we were really trying to convey. And we wanted Curavate to be a brand that you could go to that was gender neutral. So we didn't want anything that was too feminine or masculine, or like I think we wanted to create this brand that was inclusive. Sure. And you may notice the U, right? The U dot. Yeah. It's kind of this concept of, you know, it's your space. It's you focused. It's, you know, color outside the lines. Don't be afraid. Sure. So the process was really, really fun. And then of course we built out a full go-to-market. We do have some support in terms of our go-to-market from you know, brand and customer acquisition. So we have built out our Facebook and our Instagram. We're, you know, TikTok, we're just trying to figure that out, but
it's a struggle. It is.
I don't think I'm cool enough personally for TikTok, but we've got some other people around us that are.
Don't sell yourself short, but you know.
Okay. Thank you. So follow us on Instagram and Facebook at u.curavate. So we are, you know, you're going to see more from us in terms of content. You know, you're going to start to see more of us on reels and stories and, you know, really trying to kind of get to know, I think, the market and what our customers are responding to and just kind of having some fun with it, getting a bit freed up to have some fun. I mean, this will evolve over time. We're just, you know, as I said, we're just getting started.
You know, one of the challenges that, you know, folks have in the industry right now is just, it's an industry-wide issue because of, you know, economic concerns and everything else, is sort of this, you know, deep discount strategy, right? That, I got to go low ball to get volume. And it's, a lot of people in the industry feel struggle with that because they want that. But again, you're killing the margins, and it's sending sort of a message to the industry that, hey, go, you can get cheap canvas at such and such a place. And, the challenge with that is sometimes, the product isn't as good, or the whole, the expectations are not met by the customer. Where do you see Curavate in sort of that tier of the presentation? You have, let's say there's the upper level, and then there's the mid level, then there's the basement dwellers. Where do you see Curavate sort of being in that stratosphere?
Sure. Well, so first of all, we've talked a lot about pricing strategy, and we've talked a lot about bringing to market a quality product, and always looking for ways to do that more efficiently, because I think if we could be more efficient and create more automation in the manufacturing process, then we have more value that we can bring sort of further up to our customers. It is an incredibly challenging time. I mean, I've talked to other e-commerce brands out there, and trying to kind of vie for market share. And I was talking to a brand not that long ago, and we were saying, if you're discounting all the time, then your price is the discounted price.
Right,
like
exactly.
That becomes your price. And I don't want to be naive to how challenging it is to bring a brand to market, and how challenging it is from a competitive perspective. We want to provide value. We want to do fun things around promotional pricing, but we do see ourselves, I would say, as kind of more high and mid to higher end.
Yeah.
And that it's like, we're not, of course we want to drive new customers to our site, and of course we want to drive volume, and we want this to be successful, but we're being a little bit more kind of slow and steady around our pricing, and kind of looking for feedback and cues from our customers as to where we are in the market. Because I'm seeing others that are saying, we're really struggling because, we feel like we have to discount all the time. Right.
And it is a challenge. I mean, I'm not saying it's not, but I just, as an industry observer from the outside, the low ball, kind of impacts the industry. Now, maybe that's just the way it's going to be. I mean, that may just be the reality going forward. Is people's wallets are thinner than they used to be. So they may not have as much money to spend. So they're going to look for that, the absolute bargain basement deal. But on the other hand, you and I know there's things you can do on the production side to save money that cannot result in a great product. Right. And so we, as an industry, we shouldn't go down that road. But on the other hand, it's much easier to start premium and do some discounting than starting low and trying to go high.
Yeah, well, that's it. And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, as you mentioned, we're doing a little Cyber Week promotion right now. I mean, we're new to market, and so I think we want to get Curavate out there. But our strategy is not to try to go really low consistently and then hope that later down the road we can recover that investment.
Yeah.
I would say too, a bit of it is, I think what we're trying to convey in this platform is that it's something that you're creating that's special, that you feel proud of, that you can have for yourself for many years to come and share with others.
Sure.
And so we're early on in the process, and we hope that we can convey that, and certainly are focused on the quality of the manufacturing. And I think we'll find our spot in the marketplace.
Well, and the other thing I think you've done that kind of differentiates yourself a little bit just from looking at your site is the design collection, which right now there's 3, but I imagine you're going to expand that out with artists, where it's just cool stuff you can make, planners and mugs with cool sayings on them and things like that. And I think that sort of mix is something that people are going to find interesting, because it's not an either or, it's a both.
Yeah. Well, thank you for pointing that out, because I think we want to have the opportunity to draw people in because they see something that they like, right? And if we can create, curated collections and tap into, other people's creativity and have those designs available on our platform, it just gives options, right? Because maybe a customer will come in and they'll purchase a kind of prefabricated design, but maybe the next time they'll come in and they'll say, I'm going to try this myself. I'm going to try to create something that, know, and I think that it is kind of the best of both worlds. And this shop by design, that you mentioned, like we're just, we're sort of testing this out right now. But we've got no shortage of ideas around what this can look like. And so we're looking forward to seeing how what the response is like to these designs, and then, planning more as we come into the next year.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lindsay, for your time. This has been fun and illuminating, and look forward to watching the continued success and growth of Curavate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gary. Thanks for giving us a platform just to talk about Curavate and to share more about WCD. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Dead Pixel Society podcast. Read more great stories and sign up for the newsletter at www.thedeadpixelssociety.com.